I guess, weakest link for the lineup. And the player that slides that deck through, I think, is the one that's probably going to win the series. But that's a bold statement to make.
Yeah, and we can see that the even Warlock for Fury Hunter has slide that win in with any. I think that it's got a pretty good chance against Shutterwalk Shaman, just because you can set up boards that can survive Volcano, and they only have so many hexes. You have 2 Giants, 2 Drakes. They have 1 Earthshock and 2 Hex. So technically, if you line up the cards one by one, then you should have a threat that's able to stick at some point.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. I mean, as we see for this matchup, it's really going to come down to how these removals are panned out. Does Fury Hunter decide to kind of play around those removals? It's going to be interesting to see. Typically, I like the idea of just forcing your opponent to have the removal, because if they don't, then most of the time you just win the game after just committing something like a Giant on the following turn.
Yeah, all you need to do is keep asking the questions, and luckily for consecutive Giants available. So the second Giant can come down with a coin 2-drop if Fury Hunter so chooses next turn.
I wouldn't be opposed to seeing it. Might as well get that Giant on quickly as possible. Does have the Skulking Geist for later turns. That way the Twilight Drake won't get hit by that 1-of copy of Earthshock. It's not the most crucial or important thing, but it definitely does seem to be very important.
Yeah. Oh, that is a very welcome draw for A8 there. He can even Zola it. So I was trying to look at the board for Fury Hunter and see if he could set up anything that survives Volcano, but even if he coined out the Homunculus, the Mind Control tech would be able to trade into it. So I guess there's no real reason to coin out a 2-drop there.
Yeah, I believe the Glacial Shard Zola seems just like a very strong play. Can even push a little bit of damage if A8 wants to. A lot of times it's, not worth it to push that damage. You'd rather kind of try and clean up this Giant as quickly as possible. You're not really aggroing down your opponent, and you give them the Hooked Reaver much sooner, and you really don't want to be doing that.
Yeah, the trade of the Mind Control tech plays around both Defile and Hellfire. This Giant is such a beast that it can take a hit from the MC tech and the Defile and survive. And Fury Hunter has that Shroom Brewer to keep it healthy as well. So I'm sure A8 is glad that he saved this Glacial Shard. However, if he plays it this turn, it means he's delaying the Electra Farsight, which I think he's been saving.
Yeah, but taking 8 damage just seems to be quite a lot. I guess having the Healing Rain in hand does make up for it quite a bit. Can go for the Electra Farsight, draw 2 reduced cards. Very powerful turn. Hopefully pick up something like potentially the second Hex or Volcano, and then can follow it up with a pretty nice play next turn.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in favor of the Electra Farsight as well, because if you play Glacial Shard, the rest of the turn is looking like, Keleseth Hero Power or Keleseth Mind Control tech? I think it's still weak to another form of AoE.
This is fairly weak against another form of AoE, but I think A is saying that, you know what, I can't really afford to take a slow turn and take that much damage. A8's really trying to contest this board as much as possible.
It has a decent Mossy here. Unfortunately, enough to play around Volcano. But we can see that A8 has not drawn it. And he's looking in a very scary position. Has to go for the Electra now to get that Volcano.
Yeah, looks like he's going to commit to it. He might as well at this point. Let's see what the draws are. Acolyte of Pain is okay. Get extra draws towards that Volcano. And that fills out the curve pretty nicely. I wouldn't be surprised to see both of these minions hit the board. Yeah. Could potentially save onto the Acolyte of Pain to try and use it with a Volcano. But if a Volcano is not picked up anytime soon, you're kind of dead in the water.
Yeah, you're going to die before you can even think about clearing up. The Fury Hunter is in a very commanding position. He hasn't drawn into a second form of AoE, but he can get a nice trade on the Life Shroom Brewer. He could also possibly heal up the Shroom Brewer and take a value trade into the Acolyte so that the Giant is free to go face while making sure that the Acolyte only gets one draw.
It's going to be interesting to see what Fury Hunter decides to do here. Does want to try and heal those minions up out of range. Wants to keep trying to play around Volcano if it does get picked up. And there's the Volcano.
I would say on the last turn where it was still kind of safe for AH. So he can just trade away the 4-4, put the 3-3 anywhere in the minions he likes, and Volcano will do the rest. Okay, if Sun Fury hits the board, I think it should still be doable.
If Sun Fury goes on to the 2 minions in the middle, it would leave a 16 health on the board.
If you put it only on the Mossy like this,
that's also probably really better.
Smart. So, 1. I think this puts.
It's definitely way over 15.
It's like 17. So that was a really good spot from Fury Hunter.
That was a really strong play from Fury Hunter.
And now I think it forces AA to go for a Saronite card place, try to get a better Volcano in the next turn.
I think you kind of have to if you're in 8 spot right here. 8 has to make this play to try and set up the Volcano on the following turns. But right now, there's no refill in 8's hand. Once this Volcano comes out, he's going to need something.
Fury Hunter has really been aching for a Hellfire this. And I don't think there's any way he can play around Volcano. I think he just needs to hope that it's not there.
I think so as well. Can't really do much about it. Can commit a little bit. Can hold back quite a bit. Does have hooked reavers for the following turn. So this does seem like a very solid play onto the board while having 2 7/7s on the follow-up.
Yeah, even if he plays down the Ooze, it'll be exactly 15 after the 3 attack minions trade into a Homunculus each.
And I don't believe the Sun Fury Protector is going to make that much of a difference if that one gets played because there is the spell damage totem online. It would make it 16.
Oh, wow. With the Lightning Storm, there's actually a potential to maybe push face, but I don't think A8 is.
To be honest, if you are an A8 slot here, I think you have to go for the Storm.
Wow.
Because if you Volcano this, you are never clearing another board state if he has something impactful. If Fury Hunter has like the double 7/7 that we were mentioning, the Storm could roll pretty high, and then you could trade off one of the minions into the Giant if it rolls high enough. So I really like this.
Right, it makes sense. I was thinking you can't afford to go face because of Reavers, but he's already at 15, so you can't play around that anyway. And Fury Hunter is going to trade off the higher health minion. It won't make a difference because of the healing totem. But yeah, but just because he expects to need the Volcano on the following turn.
I like that recognition from A8, just understanding that, he doesn't have quite the gas to get there in the end. And Fury Hunter is just relentlessly tapping, trying to make sure that he has resource after resource after resource to keep him in this game.
Yep. Double hooked reavers would put 14 health on board. Electrum makes it 11, but there's still 4. Fits 15 perfectly. So Fury Hunter will want to hold back on playing those both in the same turn. Trying to force the Volcano before his chain gangs. I mean his hooked reavers come on board.
Ooh, what is currently in the pool for that chain gang? Is it enough? Is there 2 life drinkers in the pool? I believe there's only 1.
1, yeah, and no Grumble. There was a Zola though.
I mean, the crazy thing is, I wouldn't be surprised if AA just pushes this face, maybe plays a healing rain or takes a passive turn, and then just goes for a Shutterwalk next turn. Because with 1 life drinker, if any of these Shutterwalks live and push any damage that's game ending right there. On top of it has a bunch of glacial shards in the pool, or at least one that I know of. And then on the follow-up, could potentially just Zola it again.
Yeah, I think it's really strong to just go for the early Shutter Walk. This is looking like a where A8 won't need to go for the full combo. Not sure if you commit the healing rain here. Are you scared of 7 damage on board from your opponent? If you expect them to go double Hooked Reaver, I think it does make sense because you won't have the mana to both Shutter Walk and Volcano, obviously.
I think it's double Hooked Reaver that's on A8's mind.
And I think he'll want to keep both of the minions alive if he's expecting Shutter because of Glacial Shard having dummy targets. But I think it's pretty hard to put a read on Shutterwalk from the plays of A8 so far.
I mean, you really can't. It just came off of the top, and he's been playing off the deck for quite some time. And to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if A8 just slams the Shutterwalk here. It's a bold play, but I think it has to be the play.
There is the possibility of Lightning Storm Volcano, but if you expect Fury Hunter to just Dan anyway, I think it just is so much stronger to go for that Shutterwalk. Hope the freezes land on the... And he's so close to getting lethal.
I mean, I can see A8 stalling out for one more turn now that I'm thinking about it, because Storm Volcano would full clear the board if I'm correct. Could wait one more turn, hopefully draw Grumble on the following turn. We can see that Fury Hunter doesn't have that much pressure in hand, but let's say Fury Hunter does have some kind of pressure. That could spell a lot of trouble for A8, but, you know, I kind of respect A8's play here, just wanting to clear the board this turn in hopes of making one more draw that could be impactful for the Shutterwalk.
I think what this also does is that it clears up his own board so that when A8 plays Shutterwalk 2 turns time, it's going to Zola itself, guaranteed.
I definitely like the hold on the hero power. A8 recognizes it. This is a lot of pressure on the follow-up.
13 represented on board. And oh my gosh!
Holy moly.
That top deck with the perfect mana. Oh my gosh. That is really lucky. And Fury Hunter looks really stressed now.
I mean, the issue is, if he doesn't kill that, and Shutterwalk is the last card,
I mean,
he loses, but I don't think he can afford to. I think he has to.
Doesn't he just lose if it doesn't whiff, right? Because he'll get double life drain, and that's 6 damage. Oh, Fury Hunter looks so stressed.
It has to whiff, and the shards have to go face.
Okay.
So
that
whiffed.
was a whiff.
The shards have to go face.
Right.
Oh. Shard has to go face.
Oh my
Both
God.
shards go face! All 3 shards go face!
What? Oh my god, what is happening?
Is this a tie?
I think he might have to do the draw because he's dead and
He has to take a draw! All 3 shards went face!
Unless he can find a way to kill off his Beetle first and then Hellfire, so like a Spellstone draw can do this. Oh my god!
Oh my gosh, he draws the Spellstone!
What?
This is insane!
What? No way, that is so hype.
Fury Hunter just is cracking up laughing. What just happened?
I don't know. Wow. That was just the most insane series of top decks that I've ever seen on both sides. That's crazy.
He had to miss 3 glacial shards. I am in disbelief.
Yeah. That's like 3 1-3s